I'm opening the Keizer Multi-Modal Safety Committee for Thursday, March 19th, 6 p.m. for the city of Keizer. Call to order. Already have a note that David has a correction for before we approve the minutes. If we could make that correction first and then go to the approval.
Thank you, Hirsch, Mr. Chairman. The minutes are excellent. I just noted one word, and it was in item 6 under the committee member input. It's like the 5th paragraph down, the very end of it. It was in describing Rachel Navarro's comments. She at the end asked, and my memory is that she asked the school to have a permanent crossing guard and not a crossbar as currently stated.
Yeah,
There's a difference.
And although it's a single word, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Okay, with that,
Better than CrossFit.
Other than that, I would move the minutes
To approve the minutes.
Second. We'll wait till Dawn gets back. And all in favor of approving the minutes as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The minutes approved as corrected. Moving right along, at this time, we always have the appearance of interested persons. I have one person listed for tonight, Carolyn Holman. Do you want to come up and talk to us? Can you please introduce yourselves and where you live?
Yes, Carolyn Homan, Keizer. I'm representing West Keizer Neighborhood Association tonight. And the vice president is here also.
I'm Andy Hansen from Tate Avenue.
So I'm back. As a way to promote safety first on our neighborhood streets, West Keizer Neighborhood has purchased these slow down signs for interested neighbors to post in their yards if they wish. Jennifer and Michelle, who were here earlier to testify about Michelle's cat who was run over, have them on Shoreline now. With speeding an ongoing issue, we just wanted to be able to offer neighbors some way to show their concern and basically a way for us to show support for them in that concern. The neighborhood traffic management plan, of course, is a formal step, and I think Michelle may be pursuing that. I know she had some questions about how the data is collected or whatever, so I'm not sure about that, but it's still somewhat daunting. And then since speed limits and stop signs even came up at Monday council meeting, we just wanted you to know about this effort. We can get 6 of these signs for $30, and we just want to have a way to help our neighbors slow down traffic maybe. So that's all we have.
I just want to mention, pre-COVID, Oregon Traffic Safety, the bike ped program, put out slow signs similar to that. They're kind of promoting Sasquatch slow down, and they had literally hundreds of those signs that they were giving to cities. And so supposedly some were sent to Keizer, but I never found any. So I called and talked with Heidi Manlove on Monday from Traffic Safety. And she said, those are a great idea, but we don't have the budget anymore. And her only advice was based on their experiences, as long as you put them in private property areas.
Exactly.
Yeah, she was all for it, and traffic, at the state level, they would appreciate feedback on how they work in your neighborhood. As you well know, that they are under budget issues right now, but they would like to have that. I was hoping that she said, oh yeah, we have a stack here to be able to share with the neighborhoods, but she said they're all gone, and I already checked earlier, and the city never got. I think the big cities got them and not us little guys, but they were nice ones and they were colorful.
Well, we thought
Sorry.
thought we would give it a try. So,
Carolyn, could I see the sign again, just to see
Oh,
what it looks
sure.
like? Slow
it's the same
down,
on both sides.
kids and
Will,
pets.
will the
There's
camera
6
pick those up?
signs. Oh,
Yeah, if you hold it up long enough, there he is. He's
Okay.
zooming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, that way, the,
6 signs for $30 is
Right.
what Rhonda got these for.
Yeah, so. Anyway, we'll see, and we will, if we get any feedback at all, we certainly will pass it along.
please give it back to us, and then we'll try to get it to ODOT too, to help them maybe with their budget process. So,
Absolutely.
yes.
I would be just interested if, Mike, if you or Officer Powell have any concerns or, good. Thank you.
No, we would, I mean, certainly, we're advising them to put them in their yards, so, yeah.
Yeah, when those Sasquatch ones first came out and there was pictures of them, I believe we talked through Mike to Bill at the time, and he said, there's no problem, as long as they don't put them in the public way. And if
There shouldn't be.
but the city could place those in the public way if they were from the city, but we never got any, so.
No.
I think I gave a couple to Carol Dorfler. That was a long time ago, though.
Yeah.
Martin might have a couple left.
I doubt it.
Yeah. Thank you for your efforts.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I'm glad you got a vice chair now.
Oh, you're talking about me?
If nobody knows, that's my daughter.
Real quick, Council President Starr, do we give any funds to the neighborhood associations at all?
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Yes, they actually put in budget requests every year.
Okay.
And then the budget committee looks at those. I think, I'm gonna look at Dawn, you're testing my memory. I think it was 1,250, Hirsch, am I?
Was past chair of the Northwest Keizer. We got $1,200 this fiscal year. And in our bylaws and stuff, we have the ability to do fundraising if we have to.
So the neighborhood associations could do fundraising for a campaign like that?
Yes, they can, or they can use their budget.
We're not a 501c3, so it's a little
But
different.
you can do that. Yeah, and you can get donations too, also.
Do the donations go through the cities that are written up instead of directly to the association? So we're using.
Well, the
the
last
cities
ones,
for-
the Northwest Kaiser did, it went to Tim and it was in our fund.
Can I?
Yeah.
Thank you. So if you, I'm gonna do the non-lawyer legalese right now. But if you write the check to the city and you put in, you can designate where those funds go. And then you can consult your accountant or your tax professional about the deductibility of those funds, but
It's kind of like the helmet fund. Okay, thank you very much. Dawn, you're going to have to help me on the next one. Discussion of establishing a policy for the attendance requirement.
Yes, so we've had some absenteeism issues, and all of the resolutions for all the committees, except for the planning commission, says that there's a 75% requirement for attendance, but there's no policy, so we don't know what to do when there is an issue, when there's low attendance. And sometimes we're down to the last minute trying to determine if we're going to even have a quorum because so many people have said that they're going to be absent. And so we're looking at devising a policy for that 75% requirement. And the volunteer coordinating committee had 5 bullet points, it's in the packet, of what they're suggesting for a policy. And so we're just wanting to get all of the other committees' input to see if you have anything to add to it, if you have any suggested changes.
Being one of the older members on here, we've generally not had much of a problem, and people that have missed have had, they're excusable. The only ones that we ever had, and I'm not picking on you, Counselor Starr, but in the distant past, we had counselors that never showed. And, no, this was several years ago, yeah. Since that time, every counselor has always come up with a replacement or been able to give Dawn a heads up. This was some time ago, and I was the chair, and it was very embarrassing. But as far as members, we've been really good, so I don't know if there's anything on their points list. Does any member have anything to say?
Council President.
Yeah.
Council President.
Yes,
Thank you,
thank you.
Vice Chair. I think that this is not necessarily, I think that the goal that they were trying to do is get input from all of the committees, even if the committees haven't had this particular issue. I think there's some other committees that might struggle with this a little bit, and so that was their intent, was seeking the feedback from all of the committees so that it wasn't just one committee making a unilateral recommendation without seeking the input of, what this committee would think is a feasible kind of next steps if there was someone with was below the 75% attendance. And so I think some of the suggestions that have been brought forward are that Miss Wilson would work with the chair to reach out and make contact with the person, those kind of things. So just, if you think this looks good, I think that's what they're looking for, is your feedback on whether you like what's here. If you, I think there was one committee I attended, I think it was CDEC, that had some suggestions, some tweaks that they wanted to see. So just gathering that feedback from all of the committees, and then they'll take that and inform their recommendation go forward.
I've just been on the Marion County Parks Commission, and our section on this is 5 or more missed meetings, excused or not. It's a discussion point by the chair. And
I think the reason they were using the percentage measure is because sometimes there are committees that don't meet if there's nothing on the agenda, or, like some of them, oops, sorry, thank you. Covered up my sign. I think they had the 75% because there are committees that maybe they don't always meet every month, or only certain number of times during the month. So they wanted to use a percentage to be able to take into account the number of meetings that they might have. So that versus just putting a flat number of meetings missed.
this all makes perfect sense to me. So we have active members, we can have a quorum. That's extremely important. And the only thing I would be, maybe a reference point is, if you're not going to be making it, either let the chair or Dawn, especially Dawn, know that you're not going to be here. David?
I view the suggestions here as basically trying to clarify the procedure if people are missing meetings and things and providing some guidance there. The one thought I would have is that under item 3, which says the member's response and any decisions will be communicated to the committee chair, that it might be appropriate that any decisions will be, I'm not sure, I'm not sure the right language, but anyway, jointly decided between the recorder's office and the committee chair. So the decision is in part, the committee chair is involved in that decision of what action to take.
I agree with you completely. As I mentioned earlier, I was put in that position, but not so much with a member, but we didn't have procedure, and it's nice to have procedure.
Maybe the language would be something like any decisions will be decided jointly with the committee chair or something like that.
Is the VCC looking for us to either agree to the 75% or come up with a percentage on our own and send back?
I think they'd like a consistent, correct me if I'm wrong, Dawn, but I think they're looking for like a consistent process or consistent policy that would apply kind of across the board, so to speak. So either it'll be 75% for all committees, and then the process of, okay, you have somebody that maybe is at 60%. That process of how it would be addressed would be consistent across the board. So you don't have this committee having one process, CDEC having another process, BCC or Parks each having their own process, kind of have consistency across the board.
I like the idea of the 75%, knowing ours meets every month, others don't, and that would, from a hard number, comes out to a reasonably good hard number. And then David's suggestion of keeping the chair involved with the process. I like it.
I mean, that still gives you 3 absences throughout a year, any 12 months.
Right.
So,
And if they're more, then we, if you have a good excuse, we can talk about it and
Yep.
versus not knowing what's going on and they're not showing up and all that.
And I think that's the key, is you want some grace and flexibility, right? In case somebody has a catastrophic medical, illness or something, or something within their family. You want the ability to have that flexibility and also have some parameters.
I would just point out that the 75% is already in the language, the resolutions establishing the committees. So when we were appointed, currently, we've kind of agreed already to the 75%.
So my next question is the committee willing to make a motion to approve with the corrections that we suggested?
I don't know if that's appropriate, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
We don't need a motion, just
Oh.
your feedback.
okay. Okay.
I would point out, 75, I'm a math teacher, so I don't really like percentages very well. You're talking about the person has to be here at 8 meetings. Okay, because we don't, if we cancel the meeting,
Yeah, that
there's
doesn't
no
count.
December meeting. So you're really talking about 11, 3/4 of 11 is just,
But we
it's
have-
8, which is okay. I just want to make sure everybody's thinking about that. It's not like 12 meetings or something. So we only meet 11 times at the most. And so that's 8 meetings. That's okay. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
it
good.
just gives a process and it helps the chair know what they need to do with working with Dawn and a discussion, and I like it. So, okay, with that, thumbs up. The project review of all of our projects. Oh, shoot.
Don't see a problem with that.
Okay, I'm right now at Lock Haven and River Road, the lane painting. I still want that to happen, but that's a budget review.
So we are, okay, so we are making the budget request, or we're going to?
I think that's what Michael's mentioned last time.
Okay. It says Hirsch is going to make the budget.
That was last year.
Okay.
I did all the paperwork, so all he has to do is,
So Mike's gonna do that
I
this year.
believe
Okay.
so. And the pedestrian flag project, Walsh Way and Chamawa, that's still active.
Yep.
And from the last my neighborhood association meeting, it was still appreciated by our residents.
Yes, okay.
And Greater Gupser, it's still going on?
Yeah, Greater Northeast is still going on.
Okay.
I don't think I've
And
seen
we've
it.
only replaced one flag.
Yeah, wow.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. And speeding in residential areas. Oh,
What, can I ask, what ever happened to our request to city, was it to Public Works or City Council to reduce all the residential speed limits to 20 miles per hour? Where is that request? Does anybody know?
it went to city council, and city council directed Bill Lawyer,
Public Works?
Public Works, yeah, Bill's not here anymore.
According to the minutes last, while reducing all residential streets to 20 miles an hour could address some signage consistency. And the city's not currently pursuing the change due to cost considerations. Is that right?
So it's dead, is that right?
I'm just reading what's here. That's,
Yeah, Bill presented, it came up with costs and the number of signs, and there was a number, it cost Public Works, and Bill spoke on that at City Council. And then there's discussion on it, and it
And City Council discussed it.
it was discussed, and I don't know, maybe Counselor Shaney can help with what came from that. We were asked for information, and we gave, Bill gave that information, but then it just kind of.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, and I apologize, I'm having to reach back to this. With changing the speed limits, in all the areas. Extensive costs related to replacing, and the requirements of the signs would have to be replaced going in both directions and all the way around, feeding into.
Yeah, so
feeding
you
into the-
decided, no, we're not gonna change the speed limits. So that was it a voted on decision, or just kinda,
I can't remember if we just neglect, if we declined to consider it, or if we voted no on it. I can't remember. I know that we just didn't go anywhere. I apologize. I'll try to look it up quickly, unless one of you remember.
okay, so that's, okay.
Yeah, I will look that up and get back to that, but I know it's not.
Okay.
Bill
So somebody
presented.
asked me, yeah, because one of the things or at least I said to some people, yeah, but we did ask for it to be lowered, but the city council declined to
With
agree
reason.
with that, to do that. Okay.
Okay, the next one is,
So we can we take that piece of information, I don't know what, at least put down the fact that
we want to delete it? Is
no, I don't want to delete it so much, yeah, maybe put down there, at least the resolution, city council declined to agree to lower the speed limits. I don't, is that, how, I don't know how to phrase that.
I think
if they
that's-
didn't vote, but at least it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I think it was a decline and should be posted in the,
Minute, in the sheet.
yeah, Don, you got that?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, just-
Thank you, Vice Chair. I would encourage us, keep in mind you have the work session coming up, right, in June.
yeah, Right,
So I would keep this on your
Yeah,
working
I'm-
list if you think it's very important. I would also encourage the committee to think about, what are some alternative, speed reduction methods that could be looked at in lieu of a flat across the board speed reduction in all areas. So I would, let's maybe look at how you could reword this rather than just straight reducing the speed everywhere. But maybe add some alternative language to exploring alternative speed reduction methods
so
would be my encouragement.
our work sessions in June,
June something, yes.
I was thinking 28th. Well, that gives us some,
I think it's the 8th.
so that gives us some time to think of some ideas to put in. Yeah, we won't delete it, but I do think we should put in that at this time it was declined as written. Officer Powell, we met, and then I didn't make the meeting, which I was representing the neighborhood association and welcoming the new chamber director and having a little chat with him about the neighborhood associations and stuff. So it was very city-related, but am sorry I missed this meeting. We came up with some stuff, didn't we?
We discussed some stuff.
Yeah, we did. Did you have anything to present tonight, or
I, basically the same thing I presented to you and,
David?
we're talking about vehicle versus pedestrian crashes. as
Right.
Data, right?
Yeah, and bicycle, of course, too.
Yes, and pedestrian, I was, for our title, when it comes into a crash. A vehicle ped crash it could be a pedestrian literally on foot or a bicycle.
Oh, geez, sorry. That might be what was wrong with it.
So what I found is I went back through all of my records back to 2023. During those basically two and a half years, there's been a total of 56 vehicle pedestrian titled crashes. So about two and a half a month. Now, some of those are extremely minor. They still come in as that title. Some of them I found were literally, some people's leg was slightly bumped while in a crosswalk. That came in as a vehicle with no injury, no damage, no nothing. They just say, hey, this car bumped me, and they have no information. But that still came in as a crash. That's one of those 56. But of those 56 that I found, there were only 12 where the driver of the vehicle was the one clearly found at fault. For the most part, pedestrians and or bicycles, I use those loosely, were the ones at fault. A lot of them were illegally in the road, riding the bicycles the wrong way, bicycles being impaired, riding on the sidewalks, scooters, e-bikes, that kind of thing. So of the 56, only 12 were the drivers cited. Sometimes the default couldn't be determined. It was probably a little bit of both because pedestrians don't have absolute clear right-of-way. There's still a due diligence. They cannot just randomly or just totally ignore all safety and step off of a curb. They still have to obey, their own safety. And what we found, there's really no absolute hotspot other than pretty much all of River Road. But it's not intersections. Most of them are driveway entrances. Because of the way, the illegal in the road, they're using the center turn lane as an kind of a pedestrian island. When they cross two lanes and they'll stand in the center turn lane until then they cross over. And eventually, especially in the dark, a turning vehicle is gonna, and that's what causes the collision. But a lot of them were on in businesses' entrance and exits, because the sidewalk is set back. Most drivers, especially, they look to their left, that's where the hazard's gonna come from. And as a bicycle's coming from the right on the sidewalk at faster than a walk, which puts them at fault, on the sidewalk, which down on that part of River Road, there is no bike lane. So that's where these crashes, people are coming up and over the sidewalk in order to see to enter the River Road, primarily looking to their left for the first time before they would pull out. I don't know how much more details you want, but that's what I found.
So it's, as I've said in the past, River Road is our great barrier reef for all transportation, whether it's speeding, Dearborn, right?
Yes. River Road has stoplights and enough congestion.
Yeah.
It really is not speed until you get to midnight.
Yeah. So if we're looking for funding for resources, putting on our list, and River Road's the one we come up with, one of the suggestions that this committee has heard is more crosswalks on River Road. And in our discussion, most of the, wasn't crossing River Road, but crossing River Road in the double lane where there is a crosswalk within a few hundred feet. Is that what I?
Oh, I've literally responded to crashes where the pedestrian was 50 feet from the crosswalk, and now they're illegally in the road, and the car insurance doesn't have to pay their doctor's bill. So.
Well, I don't want to throw out the idea that as we get more building and stuff, that maybe there might be a need for some more crossings on River Road, maybe farther north versus south, but.
The piece, one of the things I took away, which didn't have a lot to do with so much the accidents, is we gotta make sure there are no more, I mean, it would be reasonable not to put any more driveways onto River Road.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna specifically River Road. Now, I know we can't take them away because you can't. But I guess we need to pass this on to, or maybe if everybody's in agreement, pass it on to planning, that we have some policies that they try, I don't know if it's try to avoid or just don't put more driveways opening onto River Road. And I'm thinking especially between Lock Haven and like McNary Estates or all along River Road out to the city limits, especially to the north, which is about the only place you can add them. But even now, if somebody had a lot here in town, I could see where you'd have to have a driveway if it was the only way, but if there's any other way to avoid it, it should be avoided.
Well,
Maybe not two driveways, maybe just one instead of two, I don't know.
I think planning already has that, but that's for new development. In the south end, I remember when John Morgan was our development director, he tried to close some driveways down, and that's was a no-no. The business community says those are our property, you can't do that. And so it's, as new development occurs, you can close them down.
Or redevelopment.
Redevelopment, yes, you can rechange them. That's how Sonic got its weird entryway in, because they used an existing one and didn't create a new one. And I'm sure that when my favorite place, Burgerville, goes in, they'll have to do something.
Maybe they'll keep the existing one.
Hopefully they do. So, well, with that, we'll just keep your data available and keep it on the list. And keep River Road in our minds as the Great Barrier Reef of Keizer.
The one thing I would like to reiterate though is in 3 years, there's been a total of 56. So it's not very often,
Thank goodness.
thank goodness, so.
Thank
I mean,
goodness.
it's not a huge,
But it's somewhere, if anybody comes to this community, where are your injury accidents? It's gonna be River Road.
I guess I would ask, so, Officer Powell, it's not a big number for the volume of traffic that we have on River Road, is that correct?
well, that's a total of 56, and some of them were, you couldn't even call them a crash.
Right,
Okay.
but what I'm saying is the daily volume on River Road is X, 8,000, 10,000 cars a day, and, you times that by, I just want to make sure that we're clear and have a comparison,
And
that
it-
it's not much.
Yeah, in regards to the total cars out there,
And it
Thank-
was for a
thank you.
period of
3 years.
3 years.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, well, with that one on, I'm going to kind of move on. And joint session with city council tentatively June 8th. And this is a good time for us to mentally take note of some things we'd like, and maybe we can discuss those at our next 2 meetings and be ready. Do you have anything to add to that meeting? What day of the week is that, by the way? Is that
A Monday.
Monday? Okay.
I think one of the things that I suggested last month's meeting was a review of the neighborhood traffic management plan process.
This is what's going on.
And so what my
year.
suggestion was that this committee come up with suggestions and have it ready to talk over at the work session. So my encouragement would be, use this meeting to come up with your topics, and then use your next 2, your April and May meetings, to refine the suggestions that you want to make at that work session in June. I think that would give you a good timeline and a good start to your
If we're looking
conversation.
at the traffic review plan, since this committee has been involved with it, and I've been involved with it from a neighborhood association as well as the other neighborhood associations, my first topic area is, what has the neighborhood association's experience been with it? What's their feedback first?
So then I would ask, I would get that request out to your neighborhood association meetings, so you can get that information, but know that you want that as a topic. So
Right.
get all our topics down tonight.
So Chris, neighborhood association input on the traffic plan as it's written right now. And I'll work with you, Don, to send out a note to the neighborhood associations. Any other members, is there any other items we would want on?
How about the green paint?
Well, traffic calming.
Yeah, traffic calming.
Yeah, because basically that's what the green paint, slap my face, street art,
Yeah, traffic calming
the sign,
Devices.
procedures maybe
traffic calming.
that we could make, I mean, and what are the different levels or something like that that are appropriate?
Because in the book of traffic calming, it depends on which way you go. It can be anything from narrowing the street to trees,
Yep.
to stop signs, you name it. Yes, Steve?
I thought, last time, actually, Counselor Starr came up with a pretty good list. One was the Neighborhood Traffic Management Plan, program. A second was, in my mind, some things that, kind of a general discussion a little bit about pedestrian safety, which I would also include bike safety, neighborhood livability, because certainly a lot of the comments and questions we get, whether they come in on the neighborhood the traffic management program or elsewhere really are dealing with concerns about livability within the neighborhoods as we have increased traffic, pedestrian safety and bike safety. And so under that, to me, are things like crosswalks, speeds, sidewalks,
Curb cuts.
and sure, curb cuts, but also, I think Counselor Shaney had a good, or Starr.
No, you're good. It's good.
Counselor Starr, sorry.
Shaney works, I'm
Too
good.
Too many
Nope.
S's. Sorry.
No, please, you're okay.
Counselor Starr had a good suggestion that we maybe also look if there are certain actions, I don't think they'd be less expensive than reducing speeds, but and I think we're looking mostly, in my mind, at connectors, not so much residential streets. It's Verda, Alder, Manbrin,
Yes.
Shoreline.
Orange, yeah.
Yeah,
Dearborn, these are the streets that we get most of the concerns about, and whether if the council doesn't want to consider speed limits, then maybe we need to be looking at some physical changes or something that both the traffic people will tell you is what you really need to do if you want to reduce speeds on streets, is do something that causes the drivers to feel more inhibited.
Yeah.
Traffic engineering controls are better than administrative controls.
And anyway, I come up with something like that. The other thing to me that's a huge thing on the docket right now, and I have a lot of confusion about what our role is the TSP, the Transportation System Plan. And my understanding is that Keizer is, if they haven't already started, is thinking of starting a revision or update of that. And to me, this committee, if it's going to have any meaning, should be a very active participant in that. And as a member of the committee, I would like to know, how are we going to be involved? And so anyway.
Historically, we have been involved.
Anyway, but those would be kind of, and that's probably a more than enough list in terms of a work session.
But on the TSP, this committee, when it was done, 2020, we were clearly involved.
And just to clarify, we did get a grant to update that, but I don't believe that work has started yet, so. But I think taking the opportunity at the work session to reiterate the desire is appropriate.
Yep. Perfect. Anything else? These will all be on the,
Yeah, so at that work session, it might be good to bring up what the Northeast Keizer Neighborhood Association emailed out to Dawn earlier today in relation to the Keizer Station bike path going from Keizer Station to the Northeast Keizer neighborhood and the maintenance that needs to be done on that. Is that ODOT?
that's ODOT. And the tribe.
Yeah,
We've already been there. Already done that.
Can we make a recommendation out of this committee that the city council approach either of those two organizations to see what work can be done?
That's an option, absolutely. I think maybe before it gets to council, it's maybe to ask for a staff report back on what the process is in that. And if it's maybe something that Ms. Blaylock, Public Works Director, can, if the information comes back that that's something that she can, have some conversations about, and from her position, that might be beneficial for us. But getting that information back, and I think Mr. Griffin has something.
Well, when it comes to that path, potholes, paving issues, or issues with it, any issues with it, and historically I've gotten a hold of a gentleman in Region 2 for ODOT, and I say, hey, here's some issues, and I bring it up to them if there's something wrong with the fencing or just whatever it is, I get in touch with them, and they've reciprocated, and they come back and they've taken care of whatever that issue is, and that is along the Parkway. When it gets into Keizer Station, that's actually the property manager's responsibility to take care of. So if there's issues on that path that goes behind Ryan Hill Memorial Park and then goes all the way north behind Target, any issues along there, I send those to my contact in California now. And bring that to their
Goes up to
attention,
the
and then it
transit
goes,
station, right? Doesn't the path go up to the transit?
It goes behind Keizer Permanente.
That one, what's the trail that goes from the transit station down to where it merges with the Parkway path?
That's just on the
Whose
street.
is that? Nobody?
it's
I mean, it's not
probably
very
ODOT's when
much,
it
but
gets out of the property managers and then goes up to the top of the
And
The
the,
tracks.
the
yeah.
overpass.
and the Parkway, or the Bikeway facility or multi-facility on the Chick-fil-A side is the Nation. Correct?
Is, yeah,
The tribe.
just for a short stretch until you see the property line, which then transfers over to ODOT's, so.
But that place, in the past, we've had complaints because there was mudslides and things, and the tribe took care of that.
And, yeah, I got a good contact and got a hold of them years ago, and, they took care of that, so.
So sounds like we have a process, just, but we can't do anything public works wise. We already tried one early, when was that? To help put up signage.
Signs, yeah.
Signage to help direct people.
I will
everything.
follow up on this issue,
Okay.
and that will save some time.
Yeah.
How's that?
Mr. Chairman, I will look at the neighborhood traffic management plan and bring some recommendations to the next meeting.
Perfect. And you're from Northeast?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm meeting with Griffin this week for Northwest, and I know how to get a hold of West Keizer and Southeast Keizer.
I'll ask the Greater Gubser to put it on their agenda for next month.
Okay. Well, we'll send out an ask to everybody, so make it formal.
So we get input from all the neighbors and everybody else. And Mike, I'd probably like to meet the new boss and see, is she aware of it? The traffic plan?
Getting familiar with it.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay.
You got Counselor start out there on the?
Thank you. I'm just trying to take a tally of, it might be helpful in a follow-up to this email that you're sending out to the neighborhood associations, if you had someone from each group, or had someone from this committee attend each meeting, to talk about it in here, so you can have that dialogue. So I think, Mr. Welsh, we're in Gubser, so you've got that. Hirsch, you're in Northwest. Matt, you're in Northeast. So we're missing Southeast
Yes,
and West.
no problem with West. Mandy.
Right, but, and I'm also liaison to
There you
West,
go.
so there's that.
And I can talk to Colleen.
Perfect. Do we have, we don't have anyone here that sits in Southeast? Okay.
I, depending on the night of the week of their meeting, I can make myself available.
Ooh, that would be awesome. I think
But
that'd
I
be
still
great.
think we should send out a formal.
I agree. And that's why I mentioned after you send out, make sure, go to
Yeah.
the next meeting and have that dialogue.
Perfect, perfect.
If we had just caught them all at the State of the City, that would have been.
Would have been great.
Yeah.
I have a comment. I'm not sure exactly where it fits in. I don't even know where somebody, I think it was the chief of police, a couple back, said something about the 3 E's of traffic problems. Education, enforcement, and engineering, about speeding and reckless driving and so on. And the engineering is what if we make recommendations or things happen through Public Works, and the police department handles the enforcement. It seems to me we bypass totally the whole purpose of educating the population of Keizer. And I don't know if that's by intent or not, but in some cases, I think you can make an argument, well, I just didn't know how, that everybody was 20 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour, or whatever their reason was for speeding or parking in the wrong place, or they have lots of excuses. But we haven't done anything in terms of at least getting the information to the population. about bike lanes and whether or not people should be bicycling on the sidewalk or riding the wrong way. I was in the bike lane, yeah, I was going the wrong way, but I was in it. I didn't know I couldn't go that way. I'm just bringing that point up that we haven't done anything regarding education. And I think we might be missing something.
Is that something that we can have the city run on Facebook? Because the city's been fairly active recently on Facebook with
Don't know.
posting updates and put out like a,
Don't know. I'm just bringing up the fact that we haven't done anything. Now, do we want to do something? I don't know. What is it we want to do, if anything? We work with the schools regarding bicycle safety and signaling and rules. But we don't work with the kids in the schools about walking.
Well, Safe Routes to School does a lot of training on both pedestrian and each one of the schools has somebody that's kind of helps with that. And the Safe Routes to School program has had in the last month or two, a big jump start. And so they're, hopefully they'll be around another 2 years of funding. But right now they're doing, the only thing that I can see that we might be able to do, but that would be requiring to work probably more with the police department, because I see Marion County periodically posts through their Facebook actually reasonable bike safety information. Unfortunately, our biggest problem is not bicycles, but e-bikes. That's where the danger is.
Oh, yeah, scooters. I've had more run-ins with scooters lately.
I've seen more what I would call electric motorbikes on the sidewalk going 20 miles an hour, maybe more. And parents don't know. So from a city standpoint, I know there was some concern a few months ago, and there's supposed to have been a work group formed, but it hasn't happened. I know ODOT put out a web stream, and they basically said, well, we don't know. And I know our neighborhood has heard reports from e-bikes at the park where they were a clear and present danger. So the city of Keizer has that option, but it's a no man's land for how we define it. But one thing is very clear, kids need to wear helmets. Even if they're riding these motorbikes, as well as adults that are riding bikes with gas motors on them. And we have a lot of that going on in Keizer. So from that education, if we could do that little bit, maybe, but to teach complete car safety, I don't know.
I don't know about teaching, but
But there is a gentleman that periodically I see on Facebook, Travis Gordon, and he is going around town talking about various traffic safety things. And he's a member of the chamber, and I'm impressed. Maybe that's because he focuses on motor vehicles and stuff. So if you don't mind, maybe invite Travis to come some night. What do you guys think? He teaches driver's education. It's a private company.
I mean, I think if we can couple it with what the city's doing with outreach on Facebook as well.
Yeah, just plug in what he's doing on the city website.
Who would we speak to on staff?
who does the Facebook of the city? Dawn?
And Melissa,
But you guys are great.
Yeah.
and some of the planning
Have
staff.
you seen Travis's, Gordon's stuff that he posts? Let me send you some.
Okay.
And then that way you can see if it's, I don't want to get into a copyright issue. I don't want to get into funding issues or anything like that, but
Can I be the non-lawyer legalese?
yes, please.
I'd also run this through our risk management of the city sharing somebody else's safety videos, just for our own liability protection. Not that anything Travis is and his business is doing is incorrect, but I would encourage us to run that through our risk management.
I'll send one, and Don can kind of take a look at, see if it even is compatible with our system. Right now, we can't ask our partners at ODOT for help. I got a pretty good rundown on things right at the moment on Monday, just asking for those signs, that it's a no on everything. But in the future, they might be a partner if they're funded, so.
But I would also add this to our work session list.
Yes. Education. But still, I'll send you that, just kind of see what's going on. With that, I'm going to move on to committee member input. And I'm going to go to my right this time.
Nothing.
Nothing, we talked about Tammy's email to us, and I think we have a clear direction going forward
Yeah, just,
for that, so.
I just want to reiterate that Keizer Fest is May 14th to 17th. The parade will be on the 16th, and that's down Lock Haven and River Road. Also, April 26th is the Monster Cookie, and that ride will be going on, but later in the morning will be Safe Routes to School. We'll be at McNary High School with all their new equipment and bikes. And Marianne and I'll be there helping, as well as Northwest Keizer Neighborhood Association, since that's our area. And
I'll bring the helmets.
and we'll have some helmets from this program. And then they're going to do a mini bike skills thing, but Jacob Liepert will be leading a mini cookie ride.
Good, when I could participate in.
Oh, yeah.
What date is that again?
It's Sunday, April 26th. So you'll see Marianne and I in our Safe Routes to School t-shirts and things like that. So that's it for me. Matt?
I don't have anything, Mr. Chairman.
Vice
Chairman,
Chair.
sorry. Excuse me. I guess I do want to thank Tammy for that email. It was extensive and well-written. So thank you.
The only thing I had, Hershey, you've already mentioned, was the Monster Cookie on the 26th. It's starting and ending at McNary, and is doing loops. It's the 50th anniversary, so they're wanting to capture the state capital. Traditionally, it went from the Capitol out to Shampoo and back. Now it's a loop to the east going through Mount Angel, but it starts here, goes down to the Capitol, and then out east. And as Hirsch mentioned, there'll be a mini cookie ride, which is 6.5 miles or 6.2 miles, starting at 10 o'clock at McNary. And that will go down to Keizer Rapids and then through the neighborhoods there a little bit, ending up back at the high school. And then, so that's at 10 o'clock. Starting at 11:30, there's a bike rodeo, which is, as Hirsch mentioned, really sponsored by Safe Routes to Schools, and also Scott's has a, Jacob who's leading the rodeo there is an employee at Scott's, and so Scott's is very actively supporting that too.
And Jacob is the new head of Safe Routes to School, and he was able to secure funding that any kid that wants to ride the mini cookie, their fee is paid. And also, McNary High School will be the vendor for all the lunches. And Marianne met with the culinary director at McNary and gave McNary High School her original monster cookie recipe. So the school will be making the monster cookies, not only for the monster cookie, but at McNary High School periodically for teachers and stuff.
Nice.
So the tradition continues.
Yay.
That's all I have.
Yep. Staff report.
Thank you, Chair Shankster. A while ago, we took some pin oaks down on Keizer Station Boulevard. There's two sets of islands, one across from Keizer Permanente and then just past Stadium Drive on the other side in front of the hotel. The pin oaks were in bad shape and we had those removed. And the beginning of this month, we replanted both of those two islands. So I don't know if anybody's noticed them, but we did a raspberry spear crabapple. So it's a beautiful flowering reddish pink. And then the backdrop behind it, every other one is a skyrocket juniper. So you have the tree with the pink and then you'll have a juniper tree that goes up. So it's something a little different. Looking around at some of the things around Keizer Station, there is some of that theme that the businesses have done with junipers and that type. So just kind of incorporated it. So that is one thing that's been on the list because those trees have not looked good for a while. So that was kind of neat to take care of that. Next one, our crews have been insisting, the water crew, on Verta with the Verta lane improvements. There's a handful of water services and fire hydrants that need to be moved back along with the gas company doing work and Salem Electric and everybody else. The contractor should be starting very shortly. So,
On what?
widening the street and
I was
adding
saying I went
sidewalks
there,
and,
the traffic was stopped up today for 10 minutes.
yeah, we're doing
It was fine, but I just, said they're doing something. That's the gas in the water.
And we're all getting our stuff out of the way so the road can be wide and the contractor who got the bid for ODOT and us will be able to continue or start their work actually, which should be shortly. That work should be done August. So, and the last one, bid should go out shortly for this summer's resurfacing project. And our engineers have been working on that, so they'll get that out to bid. And those streets will be stemmed to be paved after July 1, new budget year. So that's all I have.
I already mentioned this to Michael. Saturday was the cleanup, and traditionally Mary Ann and I come and clean the bike rack and check the tools, and the tools were in perfect shape. We just greased them a little bit, but the pump is gone, and I think the diaphragm is broken. So before the kids, and since that's been installed, about 12 years, there's really been no vandalism of it, just well used. So
Yeah, no, I think it was a really good addition. And the one at Keizer Rapids Park gets used quite a bit also. So those are the two we have. So
yeah,
they're good tool
the
for the
third
kids
one
to
is
use.
at the transit center.
That's correct. I wasn't involved
Yeah,
in installing that. So yeah, there is a third one. Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
and,
we'll look into that pump and get that
West
taken care of.
Keizer kind of monitors that one in the park, so. And the other thing is, the curb cuts, you have one planned for 15th, right?
Whoops, I knew there was one more thing. The answer is yes.
Okay.
I had it in my head, but not on my notes as I was typing things up at the end of the day today. But yeah, I meant to comment on that. Those two curb ramps should be going out to bid here shortly, and we'll get those taken care of on 15th.
We had a lady come to our neighborhood association meeting, and she likes to go to the park, but she lives on Willow Leaf, and she goes down 15th where the sidewalk is, and she has a walker, and she gets to about where the mobile home entrance is, and she's got to drop it down in whatever, and the rest of the neighborhood has cuts. And I talked to Mike, and he said, oh yeah, there's some there, and he went over there and checked, and he said, there's none there, we'll get them in. So it was a real success, thank you. Police report. And thank you for your earlier report.
We don't have a whole lot to report as far as from the traffic side, other than the fact that pretty much for the month of March, if people haven't noticed, there's been almost no motorcycles on the road. Myself and Officer Miranda are both field training officers, and we're trying to get some new people on board, so we are in a patrol car in a two-man unit training patrol. So we're kind of doing dual service right now, trying to do as much of our traffic duties as we can while taking patrol calls and training the new officers how to do that. there is a good thing is then I have, they all come through at least 1 week of traffic, but now, at least specifically right now, I have one recruit for the month, is I can have a little more time to show him, hey, there's this stop sign to watch for, there's this street with this speed issue, and we can go through and spend a little more time and show them if, late at night, when you're doing reports, you can go work on these areas, on these complaints. So that's why if people haven't noticed, that's why there's not the motorcycles, but, maybe even, on McLeod and Tepper, if people live up there, you might have seen a couple more patrol cars. That's me in my patrol car, so.
Is the police department planning any more coffee with cops this year? Or?
I'm sure they are, but I am not the one that plan it. I am just told when to show up.
Okay, okay.
Just work here.
Good.
Officer Powell, is the plan still to meet with the neighborhood associations to go over the data from the speed assessments that were conducted, so that way they know what the data is and what you're seeing?
Along that, we've done the surveys from previous. Part of our speed grant that we got from ODOT is we got some new equipment. We got a new traffic data collector, similar to the one we've used. It's just now it's updated. The other one was no longer supported. I have it. I'm still, quite frankly, trying to figure out how to make it work. So it has a book and then a thumb drive that you can read the whole manual as to how to do it. So it's been a little bit of trial and error. Once I get those surveys, and I have several streets that I want to refresh those surveys up on based on complaints, and then yes, I will, that information will go out. But I don't have the data yet.
Council liaison, and thank you for your input tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be here and support. We got the clarification that I was going to ask Ms. Kunz about on the neighborhood association's letter. And then the only other two things, obviously the budget, we're in budget season, so we just had long range planning. So be looking for those budget request forms if the committee's going to put anything in. And then the 30th of March, so that's a Monday, there's a joint work session with the Community Diversity Engagement Committee. So that might be a good one just for someone on this committee to come and listen to. And then probably the next one that I think is would be really beneficial for this committee to listen in on, and I know Herschel probably already be there, but is April 13th. It's a work session with the neighborhood associations. So I think there's lots of conversation about neighborhood associations and the issues there. So I think that's would be a good opportunity for just to listen in as well.
What time is that on the 13th?
They're both at 6.
Now, thank you. I have it down here, member to report to council April 6th is Trevor Lewis. Didn't he already do that? Okay, okay. So Trevor's not here tonight, but I will assume that he'll make it.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to listen to the recording. I can certainly ask him.
Yeah, if not, let either Michael and I know, and
Right.
we
Thank you.
can figure out, maybe I can fill in for that. If Trevor can't, or if Trevor is wanting some moral support, one of us could make it. So, okay, with that, I really don't have to ask. The next meeting is April 16th, and I'm adjourning this meeting till then. Thank you.